It's Politics 2.0 on Net News Ledger. We've got Eric Melillo in the hot seat. It's James with Net News Ledger joining us for our weekly talk about politics and the national situation is Eric Melillo, the Member of Parliament for Kenora. Eric, welcome to Net News Ledger again.
And good morning. Thanks for having me back.
And I thought today we would use our virtual background for Kenora, which is a place I spent time in as a kid living there.
Yeah, it's a great backdrop, and hopefully we can get you back in person sooner than later here. I'm remaining optimistic.
The issues continue. You know, we're watching things. There's been some provincial movement for NOHFC toward helping some of the businesses. You know, we're heading into the summer season, as strange as that might sound, at 40 below wind chill factors. But what needs to be done to make sure that tourism survives pandemic?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's really you're entirely right. The summer season, from a planning point of view, has already begun. We're well underway from a business point of view in planning for a summer season, whether it's a tourist camp, whether it's a restaurant, any business that really is impacted by seasonal fluctuations, which I argue virtually every business in northwestern Ontario is. So I think we've mentioned before that one of the keys, obviously, to getting our economy back on track and to overcoming COVID-19 are vaccines, rapid testing, and information. And the information one is a key for our small businesses. So the government needs to be more transparent with their plan and with their information and what this summer might look like, whether there is a potential for a partial reopening of our economy, whether vaccinated individuals will be able to travel more freely or will have less restrictions placed on them or not, or how some of the new variants may complicate those things. So I'll be back in Ottawa next week and really pressing the government on providing some of that information, not just to us as MPs, but to all Canadians, and particularly our small business owners who are relying on some level of certainty to know what this season is going to look like and if they'll even have one.
That's been a key issue, you know, talking to outfitters, and you know, their market is a lot of Americans who come up, and you know, there's been moves to get Canadians to go check out some of our fishing, you know, resorts and other things like that. But it's those American tourist dollars that really fuel a lot of the seasonal businesses across our region.
Absolutely, and I've seen a lot of people that have been able to sort of have staycations over the last couple of years, over the last year, excuse me. It feels like a couple of years we've been in this. Over the last year, we've had a lot of staycations. People have, I think, really done as much as they can. Everyone's in a very difficult situation, but I've seen a lot of people doing what they can to support local and support a lot of these outfitters, and that's great to see. And I appreciate that the government has focused on promoting that. But for northwestern Ontario, the bottom line is the American tourists, as you mentioned, that international market. It just can't be replaced by our domestic market. If we sort of consider how many people live in northwestern Ontario or northern Ontario, let's say as far as Nipissing, all of Manitoba, all of Saskatchewan, consider all that population. Minnesota, the state of Minnesota alone, has a greater population than all of those regions combined. So that just sort of shows how important that market is to the tourism in northwestern Ontario, and why it's important that we not only have a plan to get our economy back on track and get to a place where we can safely reopen, but that the government's communicating with Canadians every step of the way where we're at. I'm hearing from a lot of people that, you know, they kind of say, we don't care whether we can open this year or not. We just want to know what's going to happen, and that's the answers that I'm going to be preoccupied with over the next couple of weeks.
That's one we're hearing from businesses, from small business, large business. You know, just tell us what's going on so we can plan or figure out what's happening. And that's probably because things are happening so quickly at the national and provincial levels for government that it's hard for them to keep up too, if I want to give them a little wiggle room.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is an unprecedented situation. There's no question about it. But we've also been in this for a year, and the government has a lot of public health experts. They have a lot of department staff uh, that are I would assume are doing this work to on modeling and figuring out where we need to go, whether it's a percentage of for the population vaccinated, what might be safe. If the government's not asking those questions of our public health experts, then that's probably a greater concern, that they're not even trying to proactively plan ahead. But I just think the lack of information, the lack of transparency is really concerning, and we're going to keep using every tool at our disposal to press the government on this. And I just truly hope that they'll come to the table and share that with us. It's imperative.
Eric, a message for the people in the Kenora riding.
Yeah, I'll say first and foremost to everyone in the Kenora riding, I hope you're staying warm. It's been a frigid couple of weeks, but I'm very excited to be down in Ottawa. I've been told that I'll be taking the cold with me, so I would love to take credit for that if they'll give it to me. But I was told very early on in politics not to make promises I can't keep. So if it's still cold next week, I apologize for that. But I'm just excited to get back to Ottawa and to stand up for our region and keep pushing the government for a stronger response to the pandemic to help get our economy back on track and secure our future.
Eric, thanks as always.
Thank you. I look forward to talking again next week.
To keep up to date, you have to subscribe. You have to hit that like button and hit the notification to stay in touch.